You want me to put that on my Tudor?
Harry's wife. The Narcissist's rules. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Narcissists like rules, but also don't. Rules don't apply to us. Our lack of accountability and sense of entitlement interprets those rules as a shackle, a hindrance. They affect our need for control. A narcissist may abide by the rules where the narcissist deems that it's appropriate, for instance, with regard to facade management or getting to some other kind of aspect of the prime aims. But in many instances, the narcissist will not obey rules, see that they're not applicable, bend them, indeed break and flout them. Of course, evidencing the hypocrisy for which narcissists are renowned, the narcissist will also utilize rules against other people, often somewhat arbitrarily, rules applying, changing, being enforced, not being enforced, and laying down certain rules which are set in stone, which also have to be abided by, irrespective of whether there is any foundation for them, both in terms of moral stance, law, or just downright being seen as ridiculous rules in the first place. It won't surprise you to know that apparently Harry's wife has a number of rules for her staff to follow. And Harry goes along with this, of course, because he is the ginger simp, the intimate partner primary source who's caught in the grip of the narcissist. Entertainingly enough, this list of rules comes from The List, written by Hannah Rice. 9 rules Prince Harry and Harry's wife have their staff follow. Let's dive in and find out. Are these sensible rules? Are they preposterous rules? But remember, from Harry's wife's perspective, they're there to enable her to control people, draw fuel from their responses, and potentially attend to character trait acquisition and residual benefits. To say that Prince Harry and Harry's wife are divisive figures is definitely an understatement. The controversial couple has not only created a rift with the rest of the British royal family, typical behaviour of a narcissist born out of a lack of emotional empathy and, of course, the necessity of asserting control over the intimate partner primary source by causing him to be isolated and alienated from other people, but they're also rumoured to have had issues with their staff. A 2022 report in the Daily Mail found that the pair lost 14 employees in 4 years. One might suggest that careless, that's downright negligent. A separate report in the Telegraph indicated that they lost an additional 2 members of Archwell in 2023. This churn and burn, of course, in relation to members of staff is typical of a narcissist who, when those people don't do what they want, whether because what's been suggested is ridiculous, insulting, or quite simply not in the best interests of the organisation, the narcissist responds by firing them. While it would certainly not be unusual for a royal couple to have a bit of a turnover, some sources indicate that Harry and Harry's wife's staff have not been happy with the way that they were treated under the royal couple. In an interview with Good Morning Britain, royal expert Valentine Lowe alleged that members of Harry and Harry's wife's staff refer to themselves as the Sussex Survivors Club. Lowe claimed there was allegations that Harry's wife bullied staff. Lack of emotional empathy, assertion of control. I mean, people talk to me of people being completely destroyed. I've heard how people at the time, when faced with a possible encounter with Harry's wife, were saying things like, "I feel sick," or "I'm shaking." Although these allegations have yet to be substantiated, it seems that the Sussex's staffers don't always stick around. And interestingly, those who do continue working for the famous pair are said to follow several unique rules. From dog petting restrictions to a hiatus on curtsying, Harry and Harry's wife's staff are rumoured to follow plenty of unusual guidelines. Here are the rules. Number 1. Don't pet Harry and Harry's wife's dog. There might be nothing less controversial than an adorable pup, yet when it comes to Prince Harry and Harry's wife's dog, that's far from the case. During the time that the pair were living at Frogmore Cottage, a report in The Sun indicated that Prince Harry and Harry's wife's staff were banned from petting their dog. While it is difficult to pinpoint the exact origin of this rumour, it seems that it all began with a neighbourhood meeting. As per The Sun, at the gathering, one of the couple's managers informed their neighbours, which included several members of their staff, that Harry and Harry's wife had a list of rules for everyone in the vicinity to follow. One of those rules dictated that nobody in their neighbourhood could pet their dog. Following the incident, Buckingham Palace told The Sun that the couple didn't come up with these restrictions. Apparently, the manager, who the palace characterised as an overly protective palace official, made these rules on Harry and Harry's wife's behalf. Compellingly, however, this is not the only rule the couple has enforced with regard to their dog. According to a piece in Elle, the Sussexes kept their pup, Pula's name, away from the media for 2 years. Number 2, staff shouldn't initiate a chat if they see the royals. Apparently, neighbours and staff were warned not to initiate a casual conversation with the couple. Instead, they were reportedly told to wait and see if Harry and Harry's wife approached them. Grandiosity, nullification of potential threat to control. By some accounts, this rule didn't go over very well. One anonymous staffer told The Sun that they couldn't help but compare Harry and Harry's wife to Queen Elizabeth, who often enjoyed being greeted by her staff. Everyone who lives on the estate works for the royals. We aren't told how to behave around the Queen like this. She's very happy for people to greet her. This, of course, the way that the Queen behaved as a normal. Although Buckingham Palace did claim that Harry and Harry's wife had nothing to do with this rule, it's possible that their staff manager enforced it due to their having an intense need for privacy, except, of course, the privacy is only when it suits them. Rule number 3, do say good morning if greeted first. Accordingly, you're not allowed to stay in silence, but if they speak to you, you have to speak back to them. And apparently, if they initiated conversation, you could ostensibly reply with a two-word greeting, good morning. Presumably you weren't allowed to talk anymore because Harry's wife isn't really interested in what you have to say, but you should acknowledge her presence, thus, of course, affording her control and giving her fuel. Number 4, don't put anything in the Sussexes' mailbox. So if you're tempted to pinch off a loaf and slap it in the mailbox, you were told no, you ought not to do that. Apparently, again, this is something that is being done, of course, to nullify potential threats to control. It's also born out of Harry's wife's paranoia that she believes that the mailbox might receive something that's particularly unpleasant. Apparently, because of death threats and such like, this rule was imposed, but again, it's generated from her paranoia. Number 5 was to pass one of Prince Harry's loyalty tests. Apparently, Harry's wife may worry about the difficult Duchess label, but some rumours hint that Prince Harry had a difficult relationship with his employees long before Harry's wife came around. Harry used to ask his staffers for constant reassurance of their loyalty. This demonstrates his insecurities. As per Lowe's account, Harry distrusted the courtiers in the other households, and even those close to him who worked for him, he used to submit them to loyalty tests. He was always saying, "Oh, are you actually helping me? Oh, have you become one of them, one of the other people who don't help me?" Apparently, this practice stemmed from the prince's deep-seated distrust of the British press. Harry had this obsession with the media, which, of course, this external stressor was reducing his emotional empathy and affecting the way that he would behave towards them. Number 6, housekeepers must be proactive, not experienced. Apparently, Harry's wife isn't too concerned about the candidate's past experience. Instead, there's a more specific rule that guides her with the hiring decisions. The housekeeper must have a go-getter's disposition. According to a 2020 report in House Beautiful, Harry's wife posted for an assistant housekeeper with plenty of positive personality traits, looking for somebody with a proactive approach and the ability to tackle new challenges. Apparently, previous housekeeping or hospitality experience would be an advantage, but isn't essential. Number 7, they don't want staff to worry about protocol. Although they value their privacy, they don't appear to have a rule demanding any sort of formality. Apparently, in Valentine's Lowe's book, Harry's former press secretary Ed Perkins once texted him, "Hello, mate," as mate is a far cry from Your Highness. Perkins quickly realised his mistake and apologised. Harry, however, seemed unbothered by the whole mix-up. He basically said, "Please don't worry," exhibiting emotional empathy on his part. Number 8, Harry and Harry's wife don't ask their staff to curtsy. They don't have a rule about them obliging them to curtsy, and even encourage staffers to hug them. Of course, as we know with Harry's wife, that's all part of the management of her facade. Finally, the couple preferred a house with few staff. Apparently, they don't want too many because it's all part of maintaining some degree of privacy. That apparently they didn't want their household to be bustling with people. They wanted it to be cosy and private, and therefore they chose against asking staff to stay overnight. This, of course, is another method of asserting control over their staff, but also enabling Harry's wife to continue to assert control over Harry, with there being, of course, no witnesses to her behaviour. A variety of ways that Harry's wife sets out rules and is prescriptive with regard to them, which of course is all in the pursuit of the prime aims. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.